All right. Hey, everyone. I hope that. Oh, wait. Let me turn my volume down. I think that means my volume's working now, guys. So earlier I was live and it seemed that the volume was not working and you guys couldn't hear me at all. So I'm back. Give me just a second while I kind of get us all set back up again, because you know what? This is just kind of something that tends to happen when dark fairies are around. I mean, dark fairies are about chaos, energy, and all that other stuff that we're diving right into. And as you can see just with these videos, how it can kind of create that chaos. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm glad that everyone's here. Yes, thank you, Honora. Yes, the sound is now working. So if you guys caught me around 5 o'clock, which I was late because I was having technical difficulties. My computer was refusing to connect to the internet. And so I was just like, okay, I'm late. I'm going to try my phone. We saw that didn't work. But guess what? I pulled out my handy dandy selenite sword, because whenever you're dealing with dark chaos energy and it becomes overwhelming, you don't have control over it, it's great to start using selenite. Selenite's the first kind of tool to go to use to start clearing that energy. It's subtle but to the point. It kind of just helps to get all that energy out. And so you guys probably saw me pick up the sword in that video and kind of try and clear out the energy. And then my computer started working again. So yeah, that is what, it's just what happens when you work with dark fairies. I should have put up better protection before I got this venture started, but my day's been a little crazy too. But again, that's because the fairies knew that this was coming. The energy was already open for the day. And this is part of the warning of what happens when you open the door up to working with fairies in general, because if you don't specify which ones you're connecting with, you can get the ones that like to create chaos. So yeah, that was a fun lesson, right? Very direct and to the point. Yeah, I wouldn't say getting the negativity out, right? Because we still want those dark fairies in. We just wanted to make sure that energy got cleared and reset. So that way, right, we want to be the master of the situation, right? So yeah. Oh, okay. So Jennifer over at Metaphysical Roundtable was saying that we are having a lot of storms in the area, bad weather. And that is true too. I woke up to super fog this morning. It's been one of those days. But that's perfect for working with chaos fairies, right? They like to play with that. They were having fun. They wanted to kind of see, how would we respond to that energy? Will we get angry? Will we get frustrated? Or will we learn to play back? Right? So as you guys who are tuned into the live video a few minutes ago where the sound wasn't working, you saw how I tried to kind of play with the energy, still pull out a card, still kind of use writing or gestures to carry on that conversation, because that is again using the selenite to clear out that chaos energy. I want to call it's chaos energy is what we are dealing with, as opposed to necessarily negative energy. And there is a difference, and they are both shadow and dark energy. But a lot of times we do respond to chaos energy with negativity, right? And that is what dark fairies want to play on. They want to play on you to see how you handle that chaos. Can you play back with the chaos, or does it pull your energy down into that negativity where then they're not going to respect you? I'll put it that way. Dark fairies in general are very, very playful beings. So when you're dealing with the darker fairies and they want to play, right, they're going to throw some chaos or something at you. But like I said, it's how you respond to it. So again, we responded with magic and with playfulness. And so now they helped open that energy back up because they have a system of respect there. I know. Sorry. One of them sitting right here. I don't normally talk to little entities. And if I do, I try to not do it in front of other people, unless it's Jennifer over at the Metaphysical Roundtable or Rachel, which are also both here on the Spirit Realm Network, because, yeah, They're jokesters, they're tricksters, right? Honora knows exactly what I'm talking about. They love to play with that energy. Hey Jerry, welcome. I'm glad to see you again too. Yeah, so playing with this energy, right? But that's also a great way of connecting with these dark fairies to kind of push us and to teach us how to be more comfortable with that dark energy. To be playful with that chaos, so that way, right, this whole show, Mastering the Shadows, that's the whole point, is learning how to master our shadows. So this is a lesson I was not necessarily gonna talk about, but the fairies do what they want to do, right? That's the lesson they want to teach us. But yes, Cheryl, it does work. So Cheryl, I was doing the message for you earlier. The fairies did have me pull out one card, and I don't know if you could tell what I was saying, but this was your card. I know I have the two cameras on. It's super messy right now. Maybe I can just turn it off for the moment. Or how do I remove for now? Okay, I'm gonna add that back on. But so this was your card right here. And it is talking about that dark. So dark energy is all that yin energy. You've got yin, you've got yang. Yang energy is that high vibration, that light energy, that masculine energy. Yin can be negative. It is dark energy. It is lower vibrating energy, and it is feminine energy. But there's a lot of, I guess, positive things that come out in it of that dark energy, like nurturing. And so your card is referring to that feminine with the dark hair. So it's really pulling in that yin energy, and it's talking about nurturing, right? As she's looking to the child here. But it's also talking about flow. As you can see, the fish are flowing. So this is about letting go and allowing for your natural state of nurturing others to come through, nurturing yourself. But it's also warning you that if you feel like if you're having to push yourself to nurture others and it's not flowing, then that's kind of them telling you it's not, I don't want to say it's not worth your time, but it's not necessarily best for your flow. It's not best for your energy long term. Fairies are all about flow. They like things that are playful. So they are definitely going to be advising you on whatever part of your life that they feel needs more laughter or needs more flow. So I would say with this, they are telling you that you're probably over nurturing other people. That either are not being thankful enough or are just extra draining on you. But of course, again, I keep hearing the fairies tell me the best standard of understanding nurturing is to first nurture yourself. Understand the flow of nurturing yourself. So then that way, as you nurture others, you have something to compare to, right? Because you have that basis of self to go off of. So I hope that resonates. Yeah. Other Cheryl Nelson is saying, my phone just crashed out, LOL. So yeah, you know why, Cheryl Nelson, your phone probably crashed out is because you were the one who specifically typed in, hey, you should sign off and then re-sign back on. And I think the fairies saw that because they saw I was already kind of getting frustrated, and I picked up the computer after you said that and was like, I'm going to try and log back in. And again, that is how chaos fairies and dark fairies play. But you're here, you made it back onto the live. So I'm so excited we're all back here. So for those of you who didn't catch that first video, you might want to go back and rewatch it. And that first video is only on the Spirit Realms Facebook page. It's not on like any of the Mystic Path or any of that other stuff. So yeah, I'm sure that video is fun to watch. Hey Erica, how are you doing? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Pramila, any messages? Yeah, I'm about to pull out some more cards here. I'm going to clear the air first before we fully get started into that, just because, yeah. So Honora Lewis makes a really good point here. If you're putting out offerings to them, you will be visiting. They will be visiting you. And that is true, right? So I actually did not put an offering out, which might have also been why they kind of played with me a bit. But that is definitely a good way to kind of keep that protection when you are asking them to come in, or else you end up with all this extra chaos, like how me and Cheryl are experiencing with our electronic devices, right? But at the same time, that's also them wanting all of us to know how physically they are here with us, right? So for those of you who joined in earlier in the year, I did the 8 weeks with the chakra system where we went through that, and we're pulling on our own energy. Last week we pulled in the dragons. This week we're pulling in the fairies. And I think you guys can already notice that there's a huge difference with working with your personal energy versus pulling in these other entities, right? So these fairies, they wanted us to know that they're physically also more around us than what we realize, right? They messed up with my electronic devices and yours. So yeah, Cheryl Nelson, let me pull a card for you as well. So apparently the fairies like both of you Cheryls over here. They got a thing for your name. I'm gonna have to, you know what? It would be really interesting to look up the numerology or the magic behind the name Cheryl, because these fairies are definitely feeling drawn to y'all's names and your energy too. It's not just your name, it's your energy. But I find it interesting that you both have the same name. So let me pull this card out for you, Cheryl. Oh, happy birthday, Cheryl Gibson. All right, I have to make sure that I'm focused on the right Cheryl. All right, Cheryl Nelson, this card is for you. Cheryl Nelson. Cheryl Nelson, this card is for you. The fairies want to tell you. Actually, they wanted me to pull both these cards because after I pulled one, they were like, no, the other one too. All right, so you've got a double card message. Oh, and they're going 2 different ways. Okay, wait. This one's the shadow one. Obviously, we can see that here with it being darker, right? This is like a little girl over here looking into the darkness, but as you can see on her face, she doesn't really look scared. She looks more intrigued by what she's looking at. As you can see here with the trees, I don't know if you can tell, but it's got the different faces. There's several faces. These are the dark fairies that are living within the tree, right? That are kind of coming out during dawn. Again, this is talking about that curiosity. They're opening themselves to you because you're curious, right? You have a curious mind. Your energy's open. And then we've got this card here, which is a little bit lighter, but you see those fairies coming in. These card combinations are really talking about letting go of fear when you approach the unknown, approaching darkness, approaching those lower vibrations. A lot of people teach that like fear is a lower vibration that we need to vibrate out of. Fear is a lower vibration. It is showing us something, but there's something about having confidence or having a curiosity that overweighs that fear. And that's what this card is talking about. I mean, there is some fear here because there is, it is dark against light, right? But there's more of a curiosity there for the darkness where most people could be creeped out. But it's in that darkness because you're able to open yourself up, or you're going to be able to see more of the fairies, not just in them clearly playing with you in the video, but outside this video, out in the real world, like out in the, in the multiple dimensions of the reality that we live in, you can connect and play with not just fairies, but other magical entities as well. They're all around you. I don't know if you've already been reaching out and creating those personal relationships with them, because I'm definitely feeling that there's like 3 or 4 of them that are in a position now where they followed you around, where they would be more open to giving you, not their name specifically, but a name that they like to be called by, right? Because when we know their names, we can put power over them. So you really have to build trust with a fairy in order for them to ever give you their real name. But they want to share a name with you to start building that friendship with you. So this is really great. You might want to keep a journal in order to kind of keep up with that conversation going on. So yeah, Erica is saying that's one of my sister's name is also Cheryl. So yeah, we need to look up to see what the magic is in the name in the numerology, because there's definitely something going on with that. So hey Amber, hey Kim, welcome. Hey Melodic Grace. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Welcome. Honora is saying faith over fear always will be the key to your desire to come to be unto thee. I like that. It is, and you're right. Faith is key. It'll help get you to a lot of places. One thing I try and teach with fear is don't fear fear. Fear is a root chakra phenomena. It is vibrating our fight or flight system. It is telling you that something might be threatening towards your self truth. But sometimes we also fear things we don't know because we don't know whether or not it's frightening for our self truth. And so in situations like this, having that faith is key. Because it can get you. Do you want to push further? Do you need to walk away? Do you need to stand your ground? Right? Or, just let it go. So Carol is saying, new here. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Welcome. Kim is, hi, I saw a large pink feathers 3 times in different locations yesterday. What does that color mean? Please and thank you. So feathers are actually a really good they're really good symbols from spirit. I'm Native American, so in our culture, feathers are very high regarded symbols of spirit trying to communicate with you. The fact that they are large and pink, I don't really know. Are you around somewhere with flamingos is my first question. But pink is about self-love, about taking that time to practice your self-love and nurture your foundation. Nurture the foundation of who you are, right? Nurture jobs that help to build, take a job that makes you happy to go to work every day. This is talking about living in a home where you feel comfortable, eating foods that make you feel good. These are all parts of self-love acts. And since you found 3 of them, 3 is also a holy spiritual number. That's the divinity number. So I would say you probably want to look to some self-nurturing at 3 different parts of your foundation. Maybe you need to work out more. Maybe you need to change your diet. Maybe you need to go get a massage. Maybe, you need to apply for that job that you didn't think you'd be qualified for because now all of a sudden you actually are going to be considered a little bit more than what you thought. So that's what I'm getting from that 3 feathers. Hey, Letitia, welcome. There goes Erica with her beautiful emojis. Oh my gosh, flowers and moons. I love that. Hey, Heather, welcome. So Cheryl Nelson is saying, love these. I am slightly fearful, but very, very curious. We were looking for fairy home in woods with my daughter the other day. Thank you so much. You're welcome. So yeah, I have goosebumps. So today's message is completely totally in physical sync with everything that's around you. And like I said, you might want to keep some selenite at home. You're going to probably want to talk about some boundaries, especially if you're going to be coming across any of the dark fairies, because like I said, as we've seen, they like to play around with chaos, so the benefit of that is there's a lot of chaos going on in the world in general. So sometimes maybe if you feel like the world's chaos is overwhelming, you might want to go play with some fairy chaos for a little bit, and allow it to, and ask the fairies to teach you to laugh at the chaos, right? Because that's one great things about fairies is in their playfulness is if you can learn to let go and flow, they can teach you how to laugh even at some of the really dark stuff. And that's a good thing with dark fairies, right? Is learning how to laugh at the darker things, that darker humor. They can help people cope with like PTSD and other things like that when you know how to invite them in, and ask them to teach you about like being calm with the chaos and stuff. But again, like I said, they can be overwhelming, right? So you want to keep that selenite around just to make sure you're still the master of the shadow energy that you're bringing in, right? Whenever you feel that energy is too much, you want to use selenite, but obviously mine is a selenite sword, so it is a little more effective at being straightforward with crossing out energy, only because I deal with other things too. So yeah. Cheryl is saying her phone crashed again. So you might want to use selenite on your phone then, because they're probably in your phone playing around with stuff. So you're going to want to, do that. So, Heather is saying, this week I heard a voice tell me to look to 7-pointed star. When I looked it up, that was the fairy star. Yes. So you're right. That is the 7-pointed star is the fairy star. So you're actually getting into higher alchemy. I personally am just at the edge of learning that star because you've got your 5-pointed star, right? Your pentacle star, which is your 4 elements that bring in spirit with the 5th element. Then you've got your 6-pointed star. That's going to be like your Star of David, right? For those of you who know about the Jewish faith. It's also your heart chakra, right? That's that pointed star. It's really about the door between the higher and lower self, right? Being able to walk through it without having to pull in the elements. The 7 stars, like you said, it's a fairy star. You're dealing more with the fairy magic. Now, how can I get into specifics with that? I can't quite yet because I haven't fully allowed myself to progress up to that star. But I do want people to know, if you are working with that star energy, as you add a point, you do add complication, right? It's a higher level of understanding. So if you're wanting to get into that, I would suggest for anyone to study your 5-pointed star first, your 6-pointed star, and then progress to your 7-pointed star, because you really do need to know yourself and be grounded before you start working with fairy energy, because they can be very manipulative. They like being very manipulative. Do not be judgmental of how manipulative and trickstery they get, because that's a clear way to upset them, because that's their nature and they don't want to be judged, right? They feel that judgment real quick. They can get real nasty or just abandon you. If they really like you, they will just abandon you. If not, they can get really nasty with that dark energy if you upset them. So, Danielle is saying, funny you mentioned that about pink. I really don't like pink and I have very little self-love. Yeah, so color therapy, we're all very easily connected and attracted to that. So Danielle, what I would actually ask is, do you feel that same way about the color red? Because the color red is about being completely centered in ourself first, not self-centered, but in that space for self-loving. And pink is just a lighter color of red. So you might want to play around with some red on your left and some pink on your right to just meditate to, and just practice those self mantras of self love. Maybe spray some of that rose water, and that, and just say, just tell yourself, make some goals for yourself. And then, look in the mirror and say, you're going to make that goal. You're going to get that goal. You great today. Just a little bit of talk like that can really help pick up your self love. But it's really good that you've already kind of make that connection with your own psychology between that color and your thought process. So Cheryl Nelson is, we had 3 butterflies following us on the way home. So yeah, Cheryl, you're definitely the fairies that are at home around you are very connected. Yes, gallows humor. I know I'm behind on the comments right now, guys. So Honora is saying, yes, they're for the healing knowledge of our shadowing work on our higher self-awareness. Yes, they are. Yeah, Cheryl is saying, I get that. I have very dark humor. So that's probably why they're connected to you. You probably have actually a much healthier sense of your shadows and that connection to dark energy than the average person might be. And that's probably what these dark fairies. And I would say at this point, you probably have some dark fairies around you at your home where you're going. That's probably what they're feeling connected to. So again, if you ever feel uneasy, just go home and use your selenite and take a salt bath. So yeah, Kim is saying, thanks, that makes sense. No flamingos here in Scotland. Yeah, I guess there aren't any flamingos there. So it was very unusual. I also saw 1111 unexpectedly in the morning, plus at night without thinking of it. So believe it was angel signs. Yeah, they're definitely communicating with you. And you know what? That's what's so great once you get into understanding the metaphysical universe around us, is you really see how much spirit is talking to us, and other spirits are connecting and talking with us and reaching out to us all the time, constantly. It's just a lot of people are both blind and deaf, so they just can't hear and see, right? So yeah, Cheryl's saying that she's got some Nora saying, mad mom here with my bipolar depression, anxiety issues, and PTSD from loss of my only child are shadow working today for healing myself from past trauma. That is definitely a lot that you have gone through and experienced. I can't even imagine. And yeah, the fairies, they want to come in, they want to kind of try and play on that, pull on it, not in a way to hurt you, but as a way to let go, right? And sometimes, like, especially if you have something like bipolar, right, where you have highs and then you have lows, right, they might sometimes feed on to that, right? But that can also be a positive way of working with the fairies, is when you have that bipolar moment or anxiety and it drops down, inviting the fairies in, especially maybe light fairies in, can help you laugh and bring that energy back up, help to regulate your vibration. And there's a lot of ways working with these metaphysical beings can help us with bipolar depression and anxiety and PTSD and things like of those sorts, because they vibrate different than us, and so they can help us shift that energy in a way that might not necessarily be natural to humans, but we are beings that can change and evolve, so they can help us with that. So Cheryl Gibson is saying she thinks the fairies trip her. I mean, that is possible. I mean, that does seem like something the dark fairies would like to play with. So yes, Bernice, welcome. Yes, I did make it back on. So I'm glad that you were able to rejoin. Yes, I'm going to pull a card for you, Bernice. I'm just getting through all the comments, guys, just trying to and if I forget, just put it back in the comments, because my ADHD, especially playing with the fairy energy. They're sitting right here. They're like, pull another card, and I'm like, I got to read the comments, and they're over here talking to me. So we're taking forever to get through these. So yeah, Danielle saying, LOL, yep, wasn't a fan of red, but have been opening up more to it. I am a new medium empath in which learning my new path. Okay, so that makes sense. And that would make sense why you're opening up more to the red, because that's part of your root. So this is really exciting, Danielle. It sounds like you are just now really starting to open up your self-truth and going to start nurturing yourself. So I'm really excited to hear what your journey is going to be, as as you're learning my new path, your new path, because you're going to evolve really quickly, because you've done this before in other past lives. So yes, you're welcome. Yeah, Cheryl saying dark fairies, they could be what's messing around my crystal cabinet. That is true too. They do love crystals. If you feel that's the case and you kind of want them to bugger off a little bit, you can put some obsidian in there, which is the dark volcanic glass. It's just an energy for protection, and they know that, and it kind of freaks them out a little bit, kind of depending on the fairy, if you don't have a good relationship with them yet. So, you could do that, Cheryl. Cheryl is saying, I wonder if I should crack the door to the cabinet for them. So yeah, you could do that as well if you want to let them get in there. But again, if you think they're chaos fairies, you don't want them like knocking a crystal over. So again, like if you think that could happen, you could put a small piece of obsidian in the corner somewhere and just, kind of see what happens. So Bernice is saying that you've been seeing a lot of 222, 333, 1111. Yeah, so Spirit's wanting to reach out to you. So don't worry, Bernice. I'm going to pull a card for you. Hey, Faye. Danielle saying, hopefully they won't run off with any of those crystals, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful sometimes when you open up the door to some of the fairies, because they do like to take your stuff. So yeah, 3D to 5D reality is healing energy for your life path. Yeah. Faye is saying she's also getting 1212 and 444. Let's see here. Honora is saying, Erica, October 2010 started my journey of my condolences to you and yours today. Yeah, yeah, you guys have been through a lot. Okay, Erica's asking, I have a question. How do you know the difference between fairies and your inner wisdom? That's a really good question. So it does kind of take a moment, right? First, you want to learn yourself. That's why we went through the whole kind of chakra series, is to get to know our own vibration. Once you kind of get that sense, you can kind of start expanding yourself, right? So one clear indication of knowing that the fairies are working with you is they make you a little more giggly than what you normally are. You might catch yourself laughing at something that you might normally take seriously. That can be a clear sign that the fairies are around you and they're starting to manipulate your energy, especially if you're an empath. It's easier for them to do that with. And of course, you can welcome it. Whenever my husband starts making me angry, I'll tell you this. If I know it's a fight I'm not going to win, I'm just going to go ahead and call in the fairies so I can walk away giggling at how retarded I feel like he sounds instead of arguing. But also, they help me to laugh about it instead of being all like, ugh, gosh, another fight. I'm not even going to get this. Is just, you know what I'm saying? Like those words that start coming out, calling in the fairies to kind of laugh about it can, again, be another benefit of you working with them. So yeah, Cheryl's saying she doesn't mind if they play with the crystals as long as they are respectful, right? And again, with the fairies, you start working with them. Don't get angry if they do something you don't like. Make sure you let them know what your boundaries are before you get angry, okay? Because they don't like that. They don't like that feeling of people throwing judgment and anger. They don't actually like that type of negativity. Once you throw it on them, they're going to throw that right back at you. So again, working with fairy energy has a lot to do with emotional control when you're opening the door to allowing them to come in. So, Stacy is saying, hi, I was always told highly sensitive person. Would that mean I'm an empath? And how do I start to deal with that? Also, how do I'm working with the higher realm or fairies? So I would actually say, Stacy, so working with fairies in general is kind of more of like, I guess it can be higher magic because sometimes we aren't aware of our emotions when they play on them. But I would say when you start bringing them in, make sure you have like a table set up for that. So they know when they come in, they're just limited to that space. And making sure you ask them to leave at the end instead of allowing them to kind of wander, because then they'll start pulling on you and you won't even know because you kind of forgot that they're there. So I hope that helps. So Danielle saying, wow, exactly, love. I am now at 47, finding my true self. Thank you for the excitement. This journey has been a very rough one. So, one thing with magical sensitive people is, for some reason, in order to gain this type of wisdom, it just happens through darkness as part of the path. And so I can only assume what kind of stuff that you've gone through, especially going through it all the way the 47 years. So yeah, life-changing moment, right? Musical notes attract them, also expression with our dance. Yeah, so Honora, dancing with fairies, they also attract dragons as well. So why are people seeing these repeated numbers? I'm new to all this, so I don't know what's going on. So, Bernice, I don't actually know too much about numerology. If you want to know more about like what the numbers specifically mean and how those numbers really work out, you're going to want to tune back into Spirit Realm tomorrow at 8 p.m. USA Eastern Time to tune into Jennifer for the Metaphysical Roundtable, because she's absolutely amazing with numerology and she can get really deep into that question for you. All I know is that when you start seeing those numbers, that it means spirit's trying to reach out to you. Obviously, 1111 is more of like an angel number, like you've got an actual like angel spirit around you trying to download stuff for you, and letting you know that they're there. Seeing 333 means that you're in your divine order right now. And then I'm sure it probably varies based on individuals, right? Like I'm sure people who smoke that Mary Jane probably see 420 on the clock more often than other people do because they're attuned into that vibration. So just kind of giving an example of that. But yeah, tune in more tomorrow at 8 with Jennifer. She can answer those questions with a lot better detail than I ever could. So yes, yeah. Fairies they can be really complicated. So, okay. I know I'm taking forever to get through the comments. I promise you I'm going to pull some more cards. Yes, pleasant, merry meet with our boundaries. Boundaries are very important with the fairies. So, Yes, Cheryl is saying, I laugh all the time in weird times. My mom calls me the giggler. Yeah. I see why the fairies are attracted to you. You have a lot of that energy naturally. So you're welcome, Erica. Bye, Cheryl. Thank you so much for coming. I hope to see you next week. So you're welcome, Stacy. Hey, Ali. Yep. Jennifer's like, that's my wheelhouse. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, I'm just gonna get down to the bottom here. Okay, so I know I totally told someone I was gonna pull a card. Who was it? Bernice, are you still here with us? I'm gonna pull a card for you. And then go ahead and start putting that in the comments. I know I saw someone put it in there several times. I'm already having like severe ADHD. It really intensifies when I work with fairies. Like when you start pulling in too much of that fairy energy, it just makes my head go, because you just become so into the moment when that happens. So, okay. Bernice, I am pulling a card for you. So you guys, let's take that big deep breath in. Where's my little thing? All right, Bernice. All right, so here is your card, Bernice. See if I can get the glare off of it. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's like Santa Claus. He's wearing that red. Of course he's wearing red, right? So he's wearing red to kind of bring you down and root you down, but as you can see, he's scraggly looking. This card is really talking more about reminding us that a lot of our traditions in today's culture are not what we call them to be. Things like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, these are actually pagan, that are connected to the old ancient fairy energy. So this card is really talking about going through your own personal or family traditions, because some of your family traditions are actually rooted in old fairy spiritual culture. Very, very ancient, very old. It's showing me that that means your ancestors are also, they've been on this planet for a very long time. They've been part of the fairy energy before. So that I mean, you've got like a blood tie to it, which is great. It can kind of stink, I guess, if you didn't want to hang out with the fairies because they're going to be there anyway. But it's also great because it means that they're following you around. They're following you around more in a way to want to be part with you, to connect with you, which is a little more unusual than how they treat most other people. Most other people, they're quick to play a game with. They see you, there's a ancient respect there. But they want you to question those traditions that are part of your family, not in a negative way, but to see the old pagan connections there, the ancient connections to the fairies there. So when those holidays come back around, you can bring the fairies back out to play so they can feel more within their self truth in this reality that we live in this time period that they live in. And so they don't feel forgotten, because they feel when these holidays come up, they actually show up with your family. They show up to celebrate these holidays with you guys, but they feel really left out because they're not included like they were in the past. So, but they want to be. They don't have an anger. It's more of like a longing, like they've been missing you for a long time. So, Bernice, I hope that that resonates and that that makes sense. Thank you so much for allowing me to pull that card for you. I'm sure there's a lot of us that really could benefit from this, right? Especially with Easter coming up, because it does have a lot of pagan energy to it. Maybe not necessarily fairy per se, but fairies love being in that garden with the bunnies and with the fruit and stuff like that. That's why people put fairy gardens out next to their vegetable gardens. There's a relationship there. And I don't know, Bernice, if you have a vegetable garden or anything like that, but you probably want to put a fairy house out there, because again, they're looking to be part of your life more than they have been. So, thank you. Hey, Tammy, you made it. I am so glad that you're here on the live. All right. So I'm going to pull another card. So you guys just put that in the comments. Hey, Carla, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm doing well. Yeah, Danielle, the fairies have ADHD as well. They definitely do. All right. So, Ollie Mills, I feel connected to you to pull a card. But you know what's interesting is I actually don't necessarily see fairies around you. I see more of the jinn around you. So this will be interesting because I'm already seeing like you have natural genies around you. They're very faded though. They're not really on this dimension, but they're connected to you. So you must have worked with them in a past life. So let's see how these fairies come in. Yes, new here. I'm glad that you're new. So this will be fun. So before I pull your card real quick, Bernice is saying, oh, wow, I really haven't done any Easter or Christmas things like when I was little, and I want to. It's just my family has gone separate ways. So yeah, you need to pull that back in, that child energy. David is saying, oh, Lord. All right. Allie Mills. Allie Mills. All right, I'm pulling your card. So just go ahead and take a big, deep breath in. And then Melodic Grace, I'll pull a card for you afterwards. David is saying, I had bad jinn around me a couple years back, extremely hard to get rid of. Yes, so let's clear that out. Jinn is a whole nother story, right? But we're here to bring in those fairies. I'm just saying those fairies looked at that jinn spirit and they were like, they didn't do a double take. Because like I said, it's not fully in this dimension. It's still kind of caught up in a past dimension. So you got that hanging around, yeah. But the fairies are given this card right here. As you can see, we are dealing with that feminine energy again. So we've got that nurturing energy coming in. But we can see here, we've got the babes. We've got all these fairy women here. But as you can see, as you look into the card, you can see that there's more fairies hiding around. This card is talking about how there are magical beings that are around you all the time. It's not just the jinn that's around you. It's not just the fairies who are seeing the jinn. You can attract many, many beings from many different dimensions around you because you've been doing this for past lives. You just tend to come across them. Sometimes unexpectedly, you come across them and they're just kind of there. And but like I'm seeing so many around you. I mean, this card really sums it up. It's like you're hanging out with your friends, but really there's a fairy here and a fairy hanging here, and there's fairies hanging out over here, and one in the clouds, and there are spiritual beings around you all the time. It's like even a cloud, which is like just water particles to some people. To you, when your energy gets around, it takes a spiritual form to it. It takes a personality and an ego in a sense. It's very interesting. You can actually, with that type of energy that you have around you, you could actually probably, this might be really dangerous, but I'm going to say it anyway. You could probably create like a root doll or a voodoo doll or something and help bring in an energy from an entity that you want to get to know more, which is some really intense magic, by the way. I would not suggest anyone to do that like as a beginner. And to make sure if you do that, it's like marriage, but you can't get divorced. So I hope that resonates for you. Thank you so much for allowing me to pull that card for you. That's a lot. That's a lot of cool energy. Yeah, Melodic, I'm going to do your card next. Yes, Erica's saying, I love your singing bowl. It has a lot of vibration. Yeah, this one's a handcrafted one as opposed to machine crafted one, so it's got a lot more of that healing energy to it. It is, isn't it? Feels so. It was actually in the store all gross and dusty when I picked it up. but it is. It's so beautiful. It's calling my name. Yes, she's saying yes, I understand with the beings around you. Good, I'm glad. All right, so melodic, I'm pulling your card next. So go ahead and take that big deep breath in and release and relax. And we are going over on time, but I think that's okay since we had a weird startup today. Yeah, Ali's saying, I feel like it. Yeah. You have a lot of ancient power. You've definitely been a priestess in a past life. And those beings you created in past lives are just following you from life to life. Melodic. All right, melodic, I am focusing on your energy, taking that big deep breath in. Oh, and your card came out just like that. So here is the tree. We've got some light down here. It's a little more simple of a card, right? We don't quite see the fairies. The fairies are actually down here with the light, carrying the light around. So these are talking about fairies that even though you might meet them in the darkness, they're going to help carry the light, right? That's what we're wanting to do, right? With inviting these dark fairies in with Mastering the Shadows, is we want to invite them in a way so that they can help carry that light for us when we feel like the night is coming, right? This is it's a little more subtle of a card. It's a little more like just about being in nature. It's a little more of the simple life kind of a card. So that's kind of what this card is talking about. It's talking about enjoying the simple life and just knowing that the fairies have got that light for you in the darkness. So if you feel at all like, oh my gosh, the darkness is coming, just call upon obviously call upon God, but also call upon, just be like, hey fairies, is anyone around? I need some giggles here. Like, I need something to uplift my energy because this is way too negative for me right now, or something like that. You can call the fairies in to help you get a giggle in. And actually laughing does in fact release hormones within the body that allows for a release of those happy chemicals. So with that being said, let's take a big laugh together, okay? All right, melodic grace, let's take that big deep breath in and let's all laugh together. Hey, you can fake it a little bit. Sorry, I had to make the facial expressions with it. Just kind of laugh a bit, and just see, it kind of helps to lift up the mood. It makes it not so serious. So I hope that resonates with you, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and it's not like, to me, it looks like Melodic Grace. I like that name. It's very pretty. Yeah, Danielle's like, she's reading for you now. Yes. Erica is saying, when I'm walking in nature late evening, I feel the fairies around me. And they are. And what's interesting with this card is how it's got light here. That's actually the whole point of the Christmas tree. The origins of the Christmas tree is being in the darkness, and actually the fairies lighting up the branches as you walk through the dark forest in like Germany, because that's like a huge part where fairies used to congregate, and they would actually light up the trees to help humans to get from point A to point B and not get lost, right? Because there's like wolves and stuff out there, but also the Black Forest has like some legit nasty witches and stuff. So it was a great way for the fairies to help keep the people on the right path to where they're going so they can arrive safely. And that's actually where the Christmas tree, the whole tradition of that really comes from, is that relationship. So, all right. Hey, Renee. Hopefully, yes, I am feeling connected with you, Renee Burgett, for a card reading. So let's take a big deep breath in. And then Honora, I will pull a card for you. Grandma La's like, come on, fairies. I want to talk to you too. Come on, fairies. Everyone wants to talk to you. All right, Renee, here is your card right here. I'm trying to make sure these don't have too much glare, but as you can tell, this is a very witchy scene. You've got your witches on your brooms here. You got your witches on your brooms with your dark kitty cats. And then you got this dude. A dude on, is that a dude? I think it's a dude. It might be a female, but in my mind, it's a dude. Which is just kind of saying, you know, guys can ride on brooms too, but it's also, this card has a lot of energy to it. It's like she's casting a lot of playful energy. They're playing in the sky. She's a little bit of a chaos creator herself. As you can see, her face right here, her face is the only face in the whole image that is peaceful. You can tell the chaos that's being created is predominantly hers. I am so out of focus all of a sudden because it wants you to look at the card. The fairies are like, don't look at her, look at the card. So her face is she's creating all the chaos with the cats, her little familiars. And what it's showing is, oh gosh, come on. I'm over here. What it is showing is, let's see here. There we go. What it's talking about is really how you can be you're the master of the chaos in your life. A lot of the chaos that's happening in your life is your own doing. Have fun with it. Either have fun with it or take a big deep breath and learn to kind of shift your energy. But it's indicating that a lot of the chaos that's happening in your life is self-created. That's always the hardest to acknowledge because you got to look in the mirror. So, all right, Honora, let me pull a card for you. So Pramala is like, my first meeting with fairies. I love the laughter and giggles concept. Yes, they love laughing. Whether it be the dark fairies laughing at you tripping down the stairs, or the light fairies laughing because all of a sudden you can't stop laughing like you just hung out with Mary Jane. You know, you're just laughing at everything. So yeah, Renee's saying perfect card, having fun. I'm glad that resonates with you because that is definitely a shadow card, and you got to learn to look in the mirror because you got to know you're creating your own chaos. So I'm glad you're having fun with that. Perfect, right? With the cats. I didn't catch that at first. That's clever. I like that. All right. So on to the next card. All right, Honora, let's take that big deep breath in as I pull this card for you. You're saying I'm laughing, I can't stop. Oh, all right, here we go. Here is your card right here. Ooh. So this is kind of a crazy looking card. You definitely see more of those swamp like fairies down here, right? Kind of that tar energy, right? These are actually talking about fairies that are more connected to that icky feeling of your lower vibration, right? The ones that just feel draining. There are fairies like that. They're very sleepy, very sluggish. They're not quite the laughy ones. As you can see here, they've got a cup here of light filling them. And then you've got the princess over here on the side, kind of looking down, kind of feeding them a bit. This is a different type of shadow work, right? So we have shadow creatures that can be sent to us all the time, or just are attracted to our own negative energy, right? They're not like demonic. They're just bottom feeding entities. Like that's what they eat. When you have a lot of fear, you put off a lot of energy, and they're attracted to that because they eat that. That's the energy that they live off, that they need to consume to survive. We really shouldn't judge them. We're taught to judge them just because they're part of the lower vibration, and we just through so many centuries of spiritual teachers being sent here, it's such a hard concept for us to grasp. But these dark beings, like, you can feed them like an empath. Don't let them pull on you to be fed. If you feel like something's draining you when you feel crappy, it's the entities are feeding off that energy you're feeling. Going outside for a walk is a great way to get rid of them, or to like kind of kick them off your leg, right? Another way, as we can see here, she's kind of fueling them. They like to eat rotting food. So if you feel that they're around and all of a sudden you open up the refrigerator and something looks bad, it needs to be thrown out, you might want to put like a little table outside as like their little space and be like, don't feed off my energy. Here is this rotting food for you to eat on. So that's a great way to work with these type of bottom feeding fairies or bottom feeding like just entities in general. So yes, a mysterious card it is. So you're saying I've been feeding them for over 11 years, so I don't mind them, but positive energy sources are here for me today. Yes. And you know what? I think that's great that you already know that they're here. You know the amount of time, you don't mind them. But like I said, maybe putting out that rotten food on a space for them, so that way, if you want to have like a break, or, let them know you don't have to be on me all the time. I'm going to feed you in this other way, might help to create that, some more of that balance too, because you're already accepting of them, which is a really good place to be, right? It gives you, that allows you to be more of that master of that energy. Yeah. So, okay, what time is it? It is, okay, so it is 6, like almost 6:30. It is 6:22. And my show was just supposed to be from 5 to 6. So, not to like upset other people on the Spirit Realm Network, we do have another show coming on. I think it's in like 2.5 hours. Is it 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock? At 9 p.m. with Moon Girl. And then, like I said before, you can hop on tomorrow to check out Jennifer at 8 o'clock. I'm very biased with Jennifer because I know her and I think she's awesome. So, yeah, Tammy is saying, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah. What Erica say? They always try to be in my refrigerator because sometimes I forget certain things are in there, right? Well, this is another great way when you pull them out, instead of just being like gross, tossing them to the side. You can be like, hey, Dark Fairies, you want to be friends? Here is some rotting food for you. There aren't a lot of entities out there that are like real excited about rotting food and get all woo woo woo, let me make you happy. But yeah, it's a great way to utilize that food you forget about instead of just tossing it out as trash, right? Because that's a huge part with when you start dealing with this type of spiritual energies. How can you reuse something and get the most vibration out of it for the collective, right? Not just for ourselves, but being that master is being able to direct one thing from one place to another so that everything is getting that flow. Everything's getting a benefit from it. So you're welcome. Honora is saying you all are awesome. Appreciation for this wonderful group page. Yes, I'm so glad that you're here. And we've got a lot of great readers from all different backgrounds. So, all right, I'm going to let you guys go. I will be on next Wednesday, not the same time, but pretty close, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. USA Eastern time. I'm not quite sure who we're going to connect with. We did dragons last week, fairies this week, maybe mermaids will be next week. Maybe unicorns, maybe, I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get to next week, right? So, yeah, Nora is saying, I poured a large pot outside today. Yep. So I always give it to nature. All right, guys, I'll be on here talking to you guys forever because I love these conversations and I could just keep pulling cards, but we're going to have to wait until next Wednesday. So if you guys are tuning in on spiritrealm.net, that is fantastic. You can always also catch me over at Mystic Path LLC. Either the YouTube page, the Facebook page, or you can find my website at mysticpathllc.com. So thank you guys so much. I could say that like a billion times because you guys are absolutely amazing and I love this energy, but I do have to go. Take care. Till next time.